first get involved in the world of resilient leadership? What was your source of inspiration, your own life's journey that directed you to want to do this work?
Well, to tell you the truth, the first time I tripped on a sidewalk, I hit my chin. I gave myself a concussion. I spent 4 days in bed, and I discovered a remarkable secret. Now, at that moment, what I discovered was something that Viktor Frankl said many years ago when he wrote about the meaning of life. He said, between stimulus and response, there is a space, and in that space is our power of choice. And in our choice lies our freedom and our growth. When I read that and I thought about what I had just lived through, I said, okay, that means that even when I am uncomfortable, and I was uncomfortable, that was the time I could make a choice about how I dealt with it. And that's when I really got, if you will, that gut feel of what resilience is.
What would be some other examples of resilience? I think what comes to mind probably initially for people is resilient means the ability maybe to bounce back, to overcome something that happens, to get through things that come at you, whether it is illness, trauma, loss of a job, just things that happen in your life. Is that how you also define resilience, or are there other definitions within that?
Well, I actually like to go back to the root words, because the root word of resilience, believe it or not, is an English word, resile. Now, have you ever heard anybody use the term resile?
No.
It's a verb, and instead of saying to you, Jim, be more resilient, I would say, Jim, just resile. Well, we just don't say that.
We don't use that. Yeah.
But then I looked at the root of that, and it comes from Latin, re and salire, and it means to jump back. Now think about it. Bouncing back is one thing, but jumping back means you're going to jump into a place you maybe don't know what's behind you. Okay? So it's that confidence that you know that you're going to jump back and not fall off the cliff, and that in addition, you also have a sense of what you will do when you've gotten there. So it is a combination, in my mind, it is a combination of that first willingness to say, okay, I'm still here and I'm going to move on, and knowing some options and possibilities that you can choose to then move on to. So that gives you a little bigger picture, if you will, of resilience.
So what was it about the study of resilience that intrigued you to want to master it as you do? Because obviously you've had an illustrious career, but then resilience became a big thrust of your work. What was it about it that really drew you in?
Well, if I look at myself, I do know who I am. I love to garden. Okay, I love flowers. I love plants. I love the earth. It's just, I always have, from the time I was very little. And when I'm doing the garden, I love to see the results. And I see plants blooming and looking robust, and vegetables growing. And I remember one day, I said, you know, Madelyn, if you could do this for eternity, I think you could be content. And the moment I said it, I realized I'm actually a gardener all the time. I garden people, because when I see anyone, I want them to be the best they can be.
What would you think, Doctor, the world would look like if we had more resilient leaders?
I think it would be a really cool place. I really do. If people were unleashed, because that's what would happen. They would be unleashed, and we would have, you know, we talk about the need to innovate, and we always tend to think of it as being technological innovation. There's so many things that we can innovate in the way in which we work with each other, the way in which we work with strangers, the way in which countries are organized. I mean, there's just so many places where we can innovate. And if we can be more resilient, I know that that's a piece that happens and comes right along with it. We really do become more innovative.